Okay, I want you to imagine something for a second. You're standing at 7,000 feet above sea level. You're on Jawahar Parbat in Darjeeling. The air it's thin. You know, you have to breathe just a little deeper.
Right.
To your left is the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute. I mean, this is legendary ground.
Where people train for Everest, literally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're not here for that. We're walking right next door into this place that looks like a zoo, but it's really not.
It really is a deceptive location. You walk into the Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park. Let's just call it PNHZP.
Yeah, that's easier.
And you're expecting, you know, the usual. Popcorn, kids running around, maybe a sleepy tiger.
Right.
But the research we've got here, it paints a completely different picture. This place wasn't built for entertainment. It was established way back in 1958 with much harder mission.
That's the vibe I got. It feels less like a tourist trap and more like a high-altitude ark.
That is the perfect analogy. An ark at 7,000 feet, their whole focus is what they call conservation breeding.
For high-altitude fauna specifically.
Exactly. Animals that would literally die if you brought them down to the heat of the plains. And they are doing things here that no one else in the region is even attempting.
And in one case, no one else in the world.
In the entire world.
So that's our mission for this depth dive. We're going to look past the cages and into the data on the big three of the Himalayas.
The ghost of the mountains.
The snow leopard. Then the adorable but way more complex than you think red panda.
And that final one.
A claim to fame about the Himalayan wolf that, frankly, it just blew my mind when I read it.
It's a remarkable story. We're talking secret breeding facilities, reintroducing animals to the wild, which is incredibly hard, and, you know, just what it takes to keep these species from vanishing.
Let's dive right in with the heavy hitter then. The snow leopard. Looking at the global data, this zoo just seems like a massive outlier.
It is. They call it the snow leopard capital of Southeast Asia, and for once, that isn't just marketing fluff.
The
PNHZP runs the only successful snow leopard breeding program in all of Southeast Asia.
The only one.
The only one. They even got the Earth's Hero Award for it. And you have to understand, snow leopards are notoriously difficult to breed in captivity.
They're solitary, right? They get stressed easily.
Incredibly. They're picky about their environment. You can't just, you know, put two of them in an enclosure and hope for the best. It's not like breeding rabbits.
So how did they crack the code? Because the timeline here goes way back.
It does, 1986 to be exact. They started with what's called founder stock.
Okay, so just to clarify for everyone, founder stock is basically the Adam and Eve for a captive population, right? You're starting genetics.
Precisely. And if that stock is weak or too closely related, the whole program is doomed from the start. So they were smart. They brought in pairs from Zurich and Helsinki.
For genetic diversity.
Right from the jump. And the altitude, the 7,000 feet, it obviously helped. They had their first success pretty quickly. May 20, 1989, 2 female cubs were born.
But it's more than just the temperature, isn't it? I was reading about this facility called Topkidara. It sounds like a black site.
It basically is a biological black site. Topkidara is a dedicated breeding center inside the Central Wildlife Sanctuary. It's not in the main zoo.
So it's separate.
Completely separate. 5 hectares, 5 specialized enclosures, its own vet hospital. And here's the key detail. It is completely off limits to the public.
I find that fascinating. You'd think a zoo would want to show off its star animals. But here they're saying, nope, these leopards are VIPs, no tourists.
It puts the biological need above the commercial one. Snow leopards are crepuscular active at dawn and dusk.
Okay.
And they're so sensitive to noise. If you want them to breed, they need to feel like they're totally alone in the mountains. Topkidara gives them that isolation.
But isolation creates another problem, right? Eventually you hit a genetic bottleneck. Inbreeding.
Which is the death knell for conservation. The gene pool gets too shallow and you start seeing birth defects, disease, all of it.
So what did they do?
Well, the research shows some really smart moves. In 2000, they brought in Nida, who is a wild rescued leopard from Ladakh.
Wow, so fresh genetics straight from the wild.
That's gold dust for a breeder. It just injects vigor back into the line. And then again, more recently in 2016, a male named Namka came all the way from a zoo in France.
France to Darjeeling.
Yeah.
That's quite a trip for a cat.
It's global genetic management. You have to treat the world's captive population as one big extended family.
Moving them around like chess pieces.
Exactly. A male from France, a female in India. You match them up. And it worked. By 2023, the zoo had recorded 74 snow leopard births.
74.
And
That's That's a staggering number for an animal like this.
It's huge, and here's the really important part. They aren't hoarding them. The zoo acts as a central hub.
What do you mean?
They send out breeding pairs to other high-altitude zoos, places like Gangtok, Nainital, Kufri.
So they're franchising the survival of the species.
In a way, yes. It's risk mitigation. You don't want your entire insurance population in one location.
It's like backing up your hard drive, but with leopards.
You're building a safety net across the entire Himalayas.
Smart. Okay, let's shift from the ghost of the mountains to something a little more visible, definitely redder. The red panda.
The state animal of the region, and honestly, often misunderstood. People see them as these cute, cuddly things.
A living plush toy.
Right, but biologically they're quite fragile, very specialized.
And PNHEP is a global leader here too.
They are. This project started back in the early 90s, a collaboration with Rotterdam Zoo. But the real story, the aha moment in the files for me, wasn't just breeding them, it was the reintroduction program.
This is where the rubber meets the road. Because you always hear about saving species, but you so rarely hear about the animals actually going back to the wild.
It's so much harder than people think. You can't just take an animal born in a zoo, open the cage, and say, good luck.
They wouldn't know how to find food.
Or avoid predators. They die in days.
So how does Darjeeling do it? The notes mention something called soft release.
Right. The soft release is the bridge from the cage to the forest. It's gradual. They don't go straight into the wild. First, they're moved to an intermediary facility at a place called Gairabans.
Which is deeper in the mountains.
Much deeper. It's at about 8,500 feet, so even higher up, colder, wilder. They stay there for 3 or 4 months. It's boot camp.
Boot camp for pandas. I love it.
Exactly. They acclimatize, and more importantly, they get introduced to wild food sources, like different kinds of bamboo, while still having a safety net. They're learning to be wild again.
So they're learning the curriculum before they have to take the final exam.
Mm-hmm.
And the proof that this works is the story of Sweetie.
Sweetie, yes.
I have to say, reading about her was the emotional anchor of this whole thing for me. Walk us through it.
So Sweetie is a legend. In 2003, 2 females, Minnie and Sweetie, are released into Sinhala National Park after going through this soft release.
This is the experiment.
This is the test. Can a zoo-born animal survive a Himalayan winter? And the researchers, they must have been on edge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tracking them with radio collars, holding their breath.
And the answer came in July 2004. They'd tracked Sweetie down and found she hadn't just survived.
What happened?
She had given birth to a cub in the wild, in the hollow of an oak tree.
That gives me chills. A zoo-born animal figuring out how to be a mother in a hollow oak tree completely on her own.
It proved the concept. It proved that the wild instincts aren't lost. They just need to be reactivated. Sweetie closed the loop.
Incredible.
And because of her, they're still doing it. More releases in 2022 and 2023. They're actively restocking the wild.
It's an amazing legacy. But we have one more of the big 3, and this one comes with a superlative that just, it really surprised me. The Himalayan wolf.
Also known as the Tibetan wolf. And this is the zoo's most unique claim.
Laid on us.
The Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park is the only zoo in the world to successfully breed the endangered Himalayan wolf in captivity.
Wait, hold on. The only one in the world, not just India.
Globally. If you're a researcher in America or Europe and you want to study their breeding behaviors, you have to look at the data from Darjeeling. They're it.
Why? Why is this specific wolf so rare in captivity?
It's a few things. They're adapted to high altitude, so they struggle lower down. But also, they're a very distinct genetic lineage. They aren't just gray wolves that happen to live high up.
They're older, an ancient line.
Exactly. And in the wild, they're critically endangered. Conflict with herders, hybridization with feral dogs.
So the wild population is getting diluted, making the captive one even more precious.
Yeah.
How did they get started?
It was a slow start. There's a funny detail in the records, actually. They got a pair from Shimla Zoo in 1989.
Okay.
They traded a pair of Tragopan pheasants for them.
No way. A barter deal. 2 birds for 2 wolves.
Old school zoo diplomacy. But the real boom was between 2004 and 2005. Something just clicked, and they had 13 births in that short period.
Wow, a population explosion.
It was. They've now stabilized it to a manageable number, 5 wolves. But it's how they manage them that's so fascinating. I was reading about their diet.
It's not just throw a steak over the fence, is it?
Not at all. It's exactly 1.5 kilograms of beef or chicken daily. Very precise. But then there's the twist.
Thursdays.
Yep. Every Thursday is a mandatory fasting day.
No food at all.
None. And that mimics the wild. A wolf doesn't catch a kill every single day. Their whole system is adapted to that feast and famine cycle.
So they simulate the hardship of the wild to keep them healthy?
Keeps them from getting unhealthy, like a domestic dog would.
Yeah.
It drives home that these are not pets, and the medical side is just as intense.
Vaccinations, I saw that. Rabies, canine distemper. It's like a military operation.
It has to be. But the records also show the reality of geriatric care. These animals are living long lives.
You're thinking about Dolma.
Yes, Dolma was a female wolf, lived to be 12, which is a good long life. But the notes detail her decline. She developed an oral cancer.
That's tough.
It is. She passed away in 2022. But the fact that we know this, that it was diagnosed and tracked, shows the level of care. They are providing palliative care for an endangered wolf.
Every individual is valued.
Because there are so few of them.
Okay, we've covered the big mammals, but the ark has feathers too. And there's a bit of technology here that I thought was pretty cool. The Himalayan monal.
A stunning bird. Iridescent, just an explosion of color. But the zoo had a mechanical problem. The birds were laying fertile eggs, but they weren't hatching.
So nature wasn't doing its job.
Well, captivity can disrupt natural behaviors, stress, humidity, who knows? So the zoo pivoted to engineering. They installed 4 fully automatic incubators.
Robot moms.
Effectively. These machines control everything. Temperature, humidity, they even turn the eggs automatically. And success rates just skyrocketed.
It just shows modern conservation isn't some guy with binoculars. It's data, it's tech, it's science.
A mix of biology and engineering.
But there's one last layer here I want to touch on.
Yeah.
We've talked about the animals in the enclosures. What about the ones that aren't?
The zoo within a zoo concept. This is unique to the location. The park is inside this lush, protected forest, so it acts like a magnet for wild animals.
And we're not talking about a stray squirrel.
No. We're talking nearly 100 species of wild birds. But the mammals are what's really surprising. Staff regularly see wild golden jackals, Bengal foxes, yellow-throated martens just roaming the grounds.
Just picture that. You're a visitor. You're looking at a captive snow leopard. And 10 feet behind you, in the bushes, a wild golden jackal is watching you.
It completely blurs the line between captivity and nature, doesn't it? The zoo is providing sanctuary for the animals inside the fences, and the land itself is a sanctuary for the ones outside.
It's a wild thought. So to bring this all together, we have snow leopards in a secret facility, red pandas going back to the wild, and the world's only breeding program for wolves that fast on Thursdays. What's the big takeaway?
I think it redefines what a zoo is for in the 21st century. We used to think of them as living museums, places to go and stare.
Right.
But PNHCP proves that a modern zoo is a genetic lifeboat.
It's the difference between display and survival.
Exactly. Their success isn't visitor numbers. It's, did the snow leopard gene pool get stronger? Did the red panda survive the winter? They are holding the line against extinction.
It leaves me with a final provocative thought for everyone listening. We usually judge a zoo by what we can see. But here, at the Darjeeling Zoo, their greatest success is the Top Kidara facility, which you are not allowed to see. And their greatest triumph is a red panda named Sweetie, who left the zoo entirely to live free in the wild.
That is the paradox, isn't it? A conservation zoo succeeds when its best work becomes invisible.
If the best animals are the ones you never see, maybe that's exactly how it should be.
Couldn't agree more.
That's it for this deep dive into the high-altitude arc. Thanks for climbing the mountain with us.
Keep looking up.
See you next time.